welcome back to the Why So Series podcast, and we are back on our Road to Infinity War series. Today we are recapping Ant-Man from 2015. Let me see here. Armed with a super suit with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, Cat Burglar Scott Lang must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, plan and pull off a heist that will save the world. This is one of my favorite MCU movies, but we will start as usual with Big Mike, who hasn't seen this movie before. So, Big Mike, what was your overall thoughts of Ant-Man?
Yeah, as you said, I haven't seen this movie before, so we watched it for the first time. I watched it for the first time yesterday. I liked it. I thought it was definitely an enjoyable movie. I didn't really have any huge problems with it like I have with some of the other movies, but I was entertained the whole time. I didn't think it was anything over the top special like an Iron Man or a Civil War, but I liked it as a whole.
Mike, I know you're a curmudgeon, so I'm assuming you didn't like it.
No, the movie's good. The movie's fine. It's just, Mike's right, it's not really anything special, and I feel like after you watch it a few times, and you know all the jokes, they're not really as funny the second time, or they are used to it.
How do you say that shit, Mike?
This
Get your life together, yo. After you hear the jokes, they're not that funny. No shit, if you hear a joke a billion times, it's not that funny anymore.
I mean, I also feel like most of the actors in this movie are just being themselves. They're not really doing anything. Also, the villain is a terrible actor.
Paul Rudd can only play Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd can only be Paul Rudd.
But that's fine, because I love Paul Rudd. I must have said that 17 times during the movie.
Yeah,
that's
not
God,
a bad...
I love Paul Rudd.
I don't know. Actually, I've seen Paul Rudd in some other things where he plays a different character. However,
a serious actor.
However, Paul Rudd is best playing this character. And I think that's why they always make him this character. And the Scott Lang character in the comic books is not terribly different than Paul Rudd. So it was like a perfect casting. It's almost like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. He didn't do it to the level that Ryan Reynolds did, but it was that type of perfect casting for the character. Devin, what'd you think?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It's I want to say my third favorite Marvel movie behind Black Panther and Winter Soldier. Just because it's a fun movie. But you still get comic book stuff, and you still get the I love my man Anthony, my little homie Anthony. He was awesome in it, and we got a lot of good different elements. T.I. was in the movie, which is cool. His whole little bank robbing crew or heist crew was cool.
Michael Pena.
Michael Douglas was awesome as Henry Pym. And it was just good. I enjoyed the movie, and it's funny. I can't wait for Ant-Man and Wasp to come out later. Is it this month or next month?
No, it's in July.
July. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, that's going to be – I'm excited for that. And also, I didn't know how much this tied into the whole MCU thing at the time. And then seeing where it ties in is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I definitely enjoyed it.
I love this movie. It's not Black Panther, Civil War, Winter Soldier, or Guardians, but it's – still one of my favorites because it's so much. It's just a fun time to watch. Just a fun 2 hours, almost 2 hours of film. And Marvel basically they did one of those Steph Curry shots where he shoots the ball and turns around and walks the other way with this because I don't think people this is what I'm always trying to explain to people is Marvel built this MCU off of their C, D, F level characters. They didn't have their A-level or B-level characters. Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the X-Men were all gone. They couldn't make films with them. So the idea that you could take a dude who puts on a suit and shrinks and make a movie out of it. And by the way, this movie made more than Logan, which is with Wolverine. If you just think about that, it's crazy. But Ant-Man is just a fun time. What are you going to say?
Logan was boring.
Logan was boring, but a lot of people love Logan. But it doesn't matter if it's boring.
I actually agree with Brendan on his opinion of Logan. not a good comic book movie.
But it's Wolverine. Like, do you know how big of a pop culture character Wolverine is? People who don't read comic books or watch any of these movies, if you say, "Hey, have you heard of an X-Men?" They're gonna say Wolverine.
Say Wolverine.
They're gonna say Wolverine because everyone knows who Wolverine is. No one knows who Ant-Man is before this movie. It's the same thing with Guardians. I mean, I'm sure more people knew Ant-Man than Guardians, but no one knew who Guardians were. And Marvel was like, you know what? We're going to take this character and we're going to make a movie out of it, and you're going to love it. And I really enjoyed it. I loved it a lot. And I can watch this movie over and over again, especially for the Michael Pena soliloquies and memories.
Yes.
When he goes down memory lane and everybody's like talking like him. I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. That shit's funny to me every time I see it.
Every time.
Every time I see that shit, I'm fucking laughing. That shit is hilarious.
Because I know people like that. I know people that'll fucking tell you a roundabout story and tell you every detail but what they need to tell you.
Now, I do agree with Mike in regards to the villain, Darren Cross. He's just basically an angry dude who wants to get revenge, which is kind of a pointless thing.
Terrible. He doesn't have a good motive for revenge.
But he's just a means to an end to me in this movie. He's a way to humanize Hank Pym, and contrast Scott Lang. And I thought I didn't think he was a particularly good actor. I didn't think the character was particularly good, but I didn't particularly care. It didn't ruin it like some villains do for movies to me. He was just there, honestly. So one of the things I really enjoyed about this film is how they portray ex-cons, because like in America, in real life, just to get a little serious, in real life, it is like ex-cons can't get jobs. Like it is hard for them. And the dude's like, I got him. He's like they had a great line where he's like, dude, I have a master's in electrical engineering. I'm going to be right back on my feet.
Yeah,
and then next thing you know, he's working at Dairy Queen because
Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins, yeah.
Play.
Baskin Robbins always goes. Baskin Robbins always finds out. I love that shit.
Because that's exactly how it is for some people. Like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter that he didn't have a nonviolent crime. Doesn't matter what he did or if that he's reformed. Like the theory of going to prison is supposed to be reform you, but then when you get out of prison, nobody wants to let you do anything. So the only option that you have, which is what you saw in this movie, is to go back to crime. Because what are you supposed to do if nobody's going to hire you? Like you got to survive. So I loved how they played on that real life issue in this film. And it was the only fake thing was California is a state that doesn't have the question. So, like when you apply for a job in California, there is no question that says, have you been to prison or anything like that? So you don't have to answer it. And he was in San Francisco, and apparently he lied on the application. So I was like, oh, that's not real. But that was just me being really, really nitpicky. So, Mike, what did you think about Scott Lang's backstory and how they explained where he came from and what his whole motive was of being Ant-Man and everything?
I liked it. I had no problems with any of that. All the Scott Lang stuff. His family was good. Also, his daughter is probably the cutest little girl I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, she's adorable.
She's adorable. And a better.
She sticks up her daddy. Everybody loves the way she sticks up her daddy. He will not talk bad about my daddy.
As far as his backstory, yeah, I mean, I had no problems with it. It was good. The two cops, like the stepdad and his partner. Yeah. They're like the worst cops I've ever seen on. They were bad cops. Like they were just bad at their jobs. But that was more.
Look, because listen, Wood Harris is not a cop. He's a drug dealer. You ain't never seen The Wire?
No.
That's what's his name on The
Wire?
What's his name on The Wire though? Avon Barksdale. Avon Barksdale.
I never watched The Wire.
Oh no, we are way too white for The Wire.
Yeah, The Wire is like one of the best shows ever, and it was written by a white guy.
It really is good. Yeah.
But yeah, he was on The Wire as a big drug kingpin. So all I see is Avon Barksdale when I see him. Big Mike, what did you think about? Did you know a lot about the Ant-Man character? And if not, what did you think about his backstory?
No, I mean, this was the movie was the first I ever heard of it. I mean, I probably have heard of it, but I knew nothing about the character. I knew nothing about the backstory. I didn't even know that like it was a serum that made him shrink. Like
the Pym particle.
Yeah, whatever it was. Like I had no idea. So I think they did a really good job with the backstory, and kind of like what you were saying about the ex-cons and everything. I like that kind of twist that they put on to bringing like him as a superhero, where it's like he's not doing this because he feels like he has to, or like this is what he was born to do. It's like he's doing this because he has no other option, and he has to provide for his family, and he wants to restart his life so he can be with his daughter, which I thought was kind of a nice, like a nice little play on the typical superhero story. So I thought it was pretty cool. But I liked the backstory and everything. Like Mike said, that girl she was adorable. And I can't see that the mom in anything other than Cheryl from Archer, just because of her voice. But I thought she was great too.
That is her. Wow. I didn't.
Yeah. They had a little Easter egg that I'm sure Mike didn't notice, but he said something about. They were asking about the Ant-Man suit, and Hank Pym was like, "Those are Tales to Astonish."
No, Darren Cross said Tales to Astonish.
Darren Cross said Tales to Astonish.
I did pick up on it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Tales to Astonish was the book that Ant-Man was created in back in the 60s, which was kind of cool. I thought that was really cool. Marvel's always doing that.
Hey,
also,
what was Stan Lee in this movie?
He was at the very end. He was a bartender in one of Luis's stories. Also, why the fuck did he buy his daughter that ugly ass bear? Like, what was that?
She likes it.
How did he know she was going to like it?
She likes that too.
She's like, it's
because
so
he knows
I
his daughter.
love it. Like, she's just a weird little girl. She likes that kind of shit.
Look, that fucking bear that rabbit was creepy as fuck. That shit wouldn't be in my house.
That just played to his relationship with his daughter. Like, he knows his daughter so well. He loves his daughter so much. He's not just going to get her something that any little girl likes. Like, he knows what his daughter likes, even though it's weird. But, like, that's their relationship.
Also, another big part of this movie is Michael Douglas' character, Hank Pym. Hank Pym is a big part of the Avengers and Marvel universe in the comic books. He was on the original Avengers team. He is the original Ant-Man. He's had many different... in the comic books, he's had many different monikers that he went by. Like, first he was Ant-Man, then he was Giant Man, then he was Goliath, then he was Yellow Jacket, like we saw Darren Cross's character. And then at one point he was the Waltz, and then now he's Ultron in the comic books. And Ultron was originally a creation of him, not Tony Stark in the comic books. So he's a big part of Marvel lore in the comic books. But in the movies, I think they did a good job of saying, you know what, we're going to do something different. We're not going to go with Hank Pym. We're going to go with Scott Lang, who I think is a funnier Ant-Man. Because Hank Pym has some issues. Like, there's a famous... He's very dark. And I think the movie did a great job of showing that dark side of him. Like, from time to time, just showing how troubled he is. Like, there's a famous comic where Hank Pym, like, slaps the shit out of Janet, his wife. And everybody, like, doesn't fuck with him because of that. Like, because he's a wife beater. And, they kick him off the Avengers, and it's, like, this big deal. And to this day, like, it's still brought up. It's, like, this fucked up thing that Hank Pym did. Mike, what did you think about, and then Devin, what did you think about Michael Douglas's acting, and what did you think about the Hank Pym character?
I thought he was great. He's very fun to watch on TV. He's very... everything that he was trying to portray, I feel like I definitely got, like... He's really good at playing, like, you know, he wasn't trying to make it obvious that he wanted Scott to do this because he's expendable. And it even, like... But you kind of get that feeling because he cares about his daughter, and it was just... He had a lot of good like the difference between his relationship with his daughter and his relationship with Scott was fun to watch, as well as how much he just didn't like Darren Cross. I had no problems with Michael Douglas. He was great.
Other than Michael, is Michael Douglas the one that got throat cancer from eating pussy? That's what happens.
What?
I think. So.
What?
Hold on.
No, I don't think that's him.
Hold on. He's married to Catherine Zeta-Jones, right?
Michael Douglas?
Yeah, he's married
Someone
to Catherine
got throat
Zeta-Jones.
cancer from...
He got throat, and they said he blamed it on Catherine Zeta-Jones eating her pussy and shit. from oral sex. But anyway, that is just.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah. Other than that, he has an HPV in his throat. I mean, I think he was awesome.
Cancer for me.
HPV.
HPV, man.
Human papillomavirus.
Gave him the cancer of the throat.
Shit, I forgot that was him.
Yeah. I mean, I love the character Hank Pym, and the way he was portrayed is definitely dark and a little different. The way he made him worthy of to be a hero, to believe in himself, and showed he had no other way out. This is who you are. You are a Robin Hood type person, and you are redeemable. And I love the fact that he gave him the hard way. He made him become a hero the hard way. And my favorite part of the movie is the whole Scott becoming a hero montage, which is awesome. But Anthony being,
what that reminded me of? Every time I watch this film, all I think about is when he's like, "All right, you got to jump through the keyhole, get small, then get big." It's like every time, and then when he's fighting Hope, all I'm thinking about is fucking dodgeball, where the old man's like, "If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball." That's all I'm thinking about. I don't even know how that even goes together, but that's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, and then also him just being smart as shit. Like he could do this shit because like you can see him throughout the movie tinkering with the suit, thinking like he can make it work better. So it was just really cool. I loved everything about it. The casting of this was awesome.
So one of my favorite parts of this movie is his little crew with T.I., Michael Pena, and I don't know who that white dude is.
He's the guy from The Dark Knight. He was one of the crazy guys, the one that got captured by Harvey Dent.
Oh, yeah. I don't know his name, though.
Paranoid
schizophrenic.
So I really loved them. I loved T.I. didn't have a whole lot of lines, but his comedic timing was really well.
He stole that whip, yo.
Yeah. And Michael Pena is just a fucking star to me. Like, I hope he has way more lines than Ant-Man and the Wasp, because when he's telling those fucking stories and those, I don't know how to get those actors to do those words like that. Like he talks like, but it's fucking funny as shit to me. Like I watched that shit over and over again. It's still to me the funniest scenes in the MCU. Like Thor Ragnarok is up there. That shit was funny from start to end. And Guardians, Guardians 2 was really funny too. But the funniest like single scenes to me are these fucking stories because they're so absurd that people that you would think people talk like that. So, Big Mike, what'd you think about Scott Lang's crew?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, with Michael Pena, like that, he's another one of those guys who he doesn't really act. I'm convinced that's just who he is in real life. Like he actually tells stories like that. Like he's actually just that absurd of a person. But I thought it was good. I thought they added, like you said, like that nice comedic element, even though a lot of the rest of the story was like entertaining and a little more light. But I thought they added a really, like you said, the comedic timing of it was really what made them the most funny, even though what they were saying wasn't like haha jokes funny, but just the way they did it and the way they said it was hilarious.
Yeah, like when they had that real serious moment where Hank told Hope about Janet and what happened, and then Paul Rudd just comes in and fucking ruins the moment.
That ruined it, didn't I?
This is nice. Like,
or at the end when he walks out and they're kissing, and he's like, "I can't believe you kissed me. Like, what's wrong with you?" That shit was. He said that so perfectly. Paul Rudd is one of my favorite actors. One of my favorite movies ever is fucking. Oh my God! What is that movie called? Role Models.
With the wife, yeah.
No.
Oh, Role Models is great.
With McLovin, with McLovin from Superbad. That shit is the funniest shit ever. I love that movie. And the Stifler from American Pie. I don't even know his fucking name. But I love that shit. Also, Devin mentioned it, but this movie also low-key had a lot of connections to the MCU. So we get a drop in at Avengers Mansion. And Mike, what'd you think about his interaction with Falcon?
Oh, that is actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie because I think after they've developed this universe so much, it's nice to have those kind of scenes in here. It's like they're stuffing more people into this movie, even though it's all about Ant-Man in a way that fits perfectly in the film that doesn't make it like unnecessary or overbearing. So that was cool. I almost wish there were more of them, but that would have been a little too much.
And even in the beginning, he's like, we got to get in here. We're going to steal this so Darren can't do this. And he's like, you should probably call the Avengers.
Yeah, that's really dope.
And Hank was like, look, I don't fuck with the Starks. And I ain't fuck with his daddy. And I don't fuck with him. And I was like, you are petty as shit, Hank Pym. You are fucking petty. Big Mike, what'd you think about the scene at Avengers Mansion?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. I mean, there's not really a whole lot that I can add to it. I thought it was really, really well made. I like the special effects in it. I like just him shrinking, big, small, really confusing the shit out of Falcon. I thought it was really funny, and just like, it's even kind of crazy. Like, this dude's an Avenger, and even he hasn't seen something like this before. And like, you can even throw him off, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and speaking of the special effects, the effects of him being small are unbelievable in this film.
Amazing.
They're unbelievable. Of when he's like in the sewers or underground, or like when he was running through the club. Like, those are just unbelievably well done special effects. Like, that is an A+ for this film in their
and
effects.
then just when he went subatomic, man, just the beauty of that shit was just fucking amazing.
Yeah, and they introduced the microverse, which is fucking crazy as shit for like comic book fans, because I think the microverse is going to play a big deal going forward in some of our movies. And I think
are we gonna have a Secret Wars movie?
I think at some point we could have a Secret Wars movie. Secret Wars is kind of a crazy concept, but
because I mean we did see the Watcher and the Beyonder and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Well, we haven't seen the Beyonder. We've seen the Watcher.
Okay. The Watcher. Okay.
Yeah, we've seen the Watcher. But like, a microverse is a dimension that can be reached from the Earth dimension by shrinking with Pym particles, thus compressing the person the matters to a certain point, thereby forcing it through an artificially created nexus into the other universe. The microverse, where once erroneously believed to exist within atoms, there are all described as parallel dimensions rather than universes within universes. So that's the microverse. There's like a whole thing in the microverse in the comic books. There's like heroes in the microverse, and it's mad shit in the microverse. But I thought that was cool of introducing that bigger concept in here, which I thought was really, really, really well done. Another big star of this movie is Evangeline Lilly, who I loved in this film as Hope Van Dyne. Devin and then Big Mike, what did you think about Hope's character and her story arc?
I'll go first, Mike. Big Mike. I thought she was great. I think she's beautiful, first and foremost. Her bob was everything for me. She's super smart. The way she was kicking his ass, Scott's ass in the beginning was fucking everything when they were training. I love that part about her. And it's crazy because you can feel her disconnect with her father and why she hated him, but she was still loyal to her father, and the fact, because if you don't raise somebody and then there's a big mystery about how my mother died and you don't even discuss it, you're gonna have that resentment. But her still being loyal and her loyalty coming to fruition and getting a lawsuit was great. I just love the character, and I'm excited for Wasp.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. I mean, the only thing I really didn't like about her, which is totally insignificant, was her hair. Just that hairstyle just doesn't work for me. I would have rather seen something more natural. I don't know.
I agree with Devin. I agree with Devin. She was pretty. I thought she was attractive.
She's a beautiful woman, but like, the hair just didn't do it for me. Everything else was fine. But yeah, she was a badass. She knew her shit. She knew how to fight. She can kick some ass, and I just don't understand how she didn't get like why Hank didn't
put her in the suit.
Yeah, like, well, duh, he doesn't want to lose his daughter. Like, even though you have like a falling out or whatever, like, you're smart enough to know that he's probably trying to protect you. Like, it's not because he doesn't think you can. He knows you can, but like, he loves you and doesn't want to lose you. I thought that was pretty obvious from the start, but I just, like, how do you not get that?
Yeah, I think what the movie was trying to do that they could have done a better job was to create this backstory of Hank like doubting her or putting or like because at one point he's telling the story of like how Darren Cross became
His protege.
how Darren Cross became the head of PIM industry technologies.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, it was a vote by the board, and my daughter was the last vote. So I think they were trying to like create this tension between the two, of like she don't really fuck with him, and because he's fucked up, like been fucked up towards her. And I think they got that across a little bit, but yeah, I agree with Big Mike a little bit. I thought it was fairly obvious why, but I love how the movie doesn't treat us, the audience, like we're idiots, because at like pretty quickly. Scott Lang's character is like, isn't it fucking obvious why he's not doing this? So, like, I love when movies and TV shows, and we'll talk about this next week with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but how TV shows treat your audience like they're intelligent. And I love the Arrowverse shows, not to get off a tangent, but I love the Flash and Arrow and Supergirl, and even Black Lightning to an extent, but they treat your audience like you're fucking 13-year-old dummies. Sometimes with some of the conflicts and things.
We're connecting the dots and shit.
Yeah,
right.
But just how the characters react to stuff and how they hold on to shit that you shouldn't hold on to or be angry forever about shit. And Marvel, the MCU, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even more so treats the audience like we're intelligent. Like, so Scott Lang was basically the audience. Like, don't you know why he's not doing this? Like, this shit's obvious. Stop being stupid. Because that's what the audience is thinking. And Scott Lang says it the same thing. So. I love those things. I love that about this movie. We already know how Mike feels about this, but Big Mike and Devin, what do you think about Yellow Jacket and Darren Cross?
I'm in agreement with you guys. I didn't think he was the best actor in the world. That's for sure. Again, I've said it before. I don't like that whole I'm gonna be evil for being evil kind of thing. Like I get it was motivated by like kind of resentment towards Hank, and he wanted all the money and the power, but like that
wasn't even it. He was just like mad that Hank didn't pay that much attention to him.
Yeah, and he's just being a whiny little baby.
No,
No,
See,
he
there you
was
go,
mad
Mike.
because Hank was holding out on him.
Yeah, he was mad because Hank
Yeah.
was holding out on him. He was mad because Hank didn't trust him. He was like, I'm supposed to be your protege. I'm supposed to be like, you were like a father to me. And your biggest discovery, you hold it out on me the entire time because you didn't think I was worthy.
Right.
And you lied to me about it. That's what he was upset about.
Yeah, but
still a dumb reason to.
No, because like you got to think about it. Like, okay, if you know you can advance something in that field, and this is all you do, you devoted your life to that shit, and the person that can help you move that forward is holding out on you for years and years and years, you're going to say you're not going to be mad about that?
It's
shit?
even larger than that, though, because the Marvel, I don't think he was a good villain at all. Personally, I thought he was kind of.
I think about him on House of
I
Cards.
thought he was kind of like mustache twirling evil, just for no, like, I'm going to tie this pretty lady to a train track and evil. But
my favorite, when he was in that black, when he was at the crib and he was like there to kill Hank Pym, like I felt like he was there to kill him, but he just didn't have the balls to do it. Like he should have did that shit, but he's like, why didn't we were there?
His suit was cool. All the special effects in the movie were good.
Sue was cool. I just didn't like him a whole lot. Also, like, we literally have like 15 movies explaining why Hydra's a bunch of bad dudes, and he's just like, nah, they're fine. Let's just give them like the most.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
That check, boy.
No, not even that. Here's the thing. Hydra to like regular people is just like another agency, like,
Yeah.
and because the perspective, the viewpoint is all these heroes when we watch these movies, so we see Hydra from their viewpoint. But inside the universe, like if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like inside the universe, Hydra is not like.
No, they hate Hydra.
No, the S.H.I.E.L.D. hates Hydra. The people don't hate Hydra. The people don't even know about Hydra. They're two secretive organizations. So when Hydra comes and approaches you, he knew a little bit about them, but now in the future, Hydra is just like an organization that does shit. That was like, oh, this was our past, but this is not who we are anymore, even though we know that they're not that anymore. but the people don't know that. But my bigger point is the whole story of this MCU, all the way up until the most recent movie, Black Panther, is that these villains have been created by our heroes. Like, the reason why these villains exist is because shortcomings or mistakes or bad choices that our heroes made, and they have to deal with their choices. So it's giving stakes to the movie. If you think about Ultron or what's the fucking guy called in Iron Man 2 with the fucking arm things?
Not the Mandarin.
No, not the Mandarin.
Whiplash.
And then if you like Killmonger, if you think about Hela from Ragnarok, like in Civil War, it was Cap and he knew about the shit with Tony, and he hit that shit. And a lot of the shit, a lot of the villains that we've seen in the MCU are creations of our heroes and their shortcomings. So this was just another example of that. Of Hank Pym, like, yeah, Darren has some issues, but if Hank Pym would have treated him better and trusted him more and worked with him, he probably would never become this villain. So it's just another referendum on that in the MCU that I think is interesting, but that still doesn't excuse that character, because that character was very bland and the acting was very bland. And that guy can act better than this. Like, I've seen him act better than this.
Oh, House of Cards is awesome.
Yeah, he's much better on House of Cards. So I've seen him. So I don't know if he phoned it in or if this was the writing or what, but he was one of the weaker villains. Maybe the weakest villain, honestly.
Honestly, I think so too.
Yeah, probably.
In the MCU, in my opinion. So
he didn't have a lot of villainous intentions, honestly. Like, it's just, I think it was trying to make money and then I guess make Hank pay a little bit, but
yeah, he's basically like, fuck Hank, and I'm about to make all this money. I'm about to be rich. So that's basically what it was. Before we get out, two more things. Actually, one more thing, but we'll do it in 3 parts, and we'll start with Big Mike, then Devin, then Mike, and then me. One, what are you looking forward to most in Ant-Man 2? 2, what was your favorite scene in the film? And 3, what was your score?
Ant-Man 2, I'd say the thing I'm looking forward to most is probably more of that chemistry and that dynamic between Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think they're going to work really well together. I think that kind of duo, like, we had a little bit of a preview of it when Hank was talking about when he did it with his wife. I think that kind of duo in these super cool suits is going to be really sweet. My favorite scene in the movie, I mean, I know it's stupid, but like it's probably all those explanation scenes by whatever his name is. I'm so bad with names.
Luis.
Yeah, Luis. Like, those are just so funny to me. And even though I might have, like, that's just the first thing that came to mind. I mean, the whole movie was pretty good as a whole. I liked pretty much all of it. Lee's favorite scene was probably like at the beginning of that final heist where they were like planning everything, and they're just like, oh yeah, like, you're just gonna be the security guard, and like you can get hired by this security agency, this company, no problem, on the day that they're unveiling their greatest invention in front of like a bunch of people, where we're gonna need all this security. Like, how is that?
I do not love the Ocean's movies. They do it in the Ocean's movies.
That doesn't make it right.
No, that was pretty ridiculous.
Oversight.
It is
and
ridiculous.
That's just them being lazy. Like, that's just like, oh yeah, you're a security guard now. There you go. I just thought it was kind of like a cop out way to just get around a problem that they had. But I know it's a minor issue, but that was probably my least favorite thing about the movie.
What I'm most looking forward to is, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people overlook this part, but in the room where the Yellow Jacket suit was kept, when Darren Cross was talking about the fuel and that yellow vial, the Hydra guy took it.
Yep.
He stole it. And I feel like that was overlooked and hasn't really been revisited since, so I kind of want to see what happens with that. Favorite scene is probably the scene at Avengers Mansion, for sure. just because I love my appearances from. I love when they have more characters in the movie. It makes it more fun to watch for me. Least favorite scene is when he's in jail and the ants come out and he's got to choose to put the suit on or not, and they give him a countdown of 10 seconds.
Oh, he didn't do it. Yeah, he didn't do it.
9, 8, and then it cuts away, and then it goes back to like 4, and he's already fully suited up in like 4 seconds. And I was like, that is what? I can't even put underwear and a t-shirt on in 4 seconds, let alone a whole
You need to work on that.
You gotta do better, yo. Shit, that's all I'm saying.
You gotta do better.
Did we do scores? We're doing scores?
Yeah, what's your score, Big Mike?
Yeah, I'll give it
8.5. Go ahead, Big Mike. 8.5. Come on.
I was gonna go like an 8.2.
Okay.
Mike?
Pretty close.
You are the Russian judge.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. It's definitely gotta be. I gotta rate it higher than.
Yeah, I mean, like there's nothing really wrong with it, but it's nothing over the top.
It's not a bad movie. It's just nothing. It's like nothing special or fantastic. Like nothing like it's not like I was freaking out, foaming at the mouth, ready to see this movie. But
You leave the theater satisfied, not with your jaw on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Devin?
I would say I love the movie. My favorite part. I have a lot of favorite parts. I really like this. I really enjoyed it. It's fun. I like the helicopter. I like the final fight scene. That shit was fantastic. It was long. It was drawn out, but it never was unexciting. It was exciting the whole time. The best part about that shit is when Thomas hits the windowsill when he's still small, and then he flies out that bitch and he's giant, and his eyes are just going back and forth with that shit. When they catch the rug on fire, that shit is good. I just enjoyed it. My least favorite part was definitely any scenes with the ex-wife and the stepdad. Just fucking hate him. He just wasn't good to me. He's a fucking idiot. The little girl was great. But overall, I got to go 8.5 for this because it's not 9 worthy, but it's really fun. I enjoy it. I watch it every time. Paul Rudd's great.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's it. Go for it.
I am looking forward to seeing Hope Van Dyne in that fucking suit, fucking people up. Like, they showed that clip of her in the trailer where she's running on the fucking bullet, and I was like, look at this shit. Look at this fucking comic book shit. A fucking miniaturized woman in a suit that can fly running on a bullet in the air. It's fucking absurd, but they're actually going to do that in the comic books. My favorite scene in the movie, well, I'll just play it.
Here's the deal. Just give me the facts.
Just the facts.
Breathe. Focus. Keep it simple.
No doubt. Okay, so I'm at this art museum with my cousin Ignacio, right? And there was this like abstract expressionism exhibit. But you know me, I'm more like a neo-cubist kind of guy, right? But there was this one Rothko that was sublime, bro. Oh my God.
Luis.
Okay, sorry. I just get excited and stuff. But anyway, when Ignacio tells me, yo, I met this crazy fine writer chick at the spot last night. Like, fine, like crazy stupid fine. And he goes up to the bartender and goes, look at the girl I'm with. You know what I'm saying? She's crazy stupid fine, right? The bartender's all like, yeah, crazy stupid fine. So this writer chick tells Ignacio, yo, I'm like a boss in the world of guerrilla journalism, and I got mad connects with the peeps behind the curtains, you know what I'm saying? Ignacio's like, for real? And she's like, yeah. You know what? I can't tell you who my contact is because he works with the Avengers. Oh, no. Yeah, and this dude sounds like a badass, man. Like, he comes up to her and says, yo, I'm looking for this dude who's new on the scene, who's, like, flashing this fresh tack, who's got, like, bomb moves, right? Who you got? She's like, well, we got everything nowadays. We got a guy who jumps. We got a guy who swings. We got a guy who crawls up the walls. You gotta be more specific. And he's like, I'm looking for a guy that shrinks. And I'm like, damn, I got all nervous because I keep mad secrets for you, bro. So I asked Ignacio, is it the badass tell the stupefied writer chick to tell me, because I'm tight with that man, that he's looking for him?
And? What'd he say?
He said, yes.
Shit was great. That shit was great.
That is the funniest fucking shit ever.
The fact that he knew, he told him, yo, concentrate, yo, like, focus. Like, because he knows how his stories be, yo. That shit is hilarious.
I had to get one of those clips in because that's the funniest shit. And the faces all the characters be making, it just gets me every fucking time. Every fucking time. I give this a 8. 8.4.
I got a question, yo. How
yeah.
much is it? How much are you making as an Avenger, yo? Like, how much you think you're making?
I mean, technically they do get paid. They're a government-run organization. But we know from Winter Soldier that Cap is always like, yeah, I don't know if I can afford, huh?
He's living in like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, he's like, I can't afford shit in fucking Brooklyn anymore. Like he says that in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they get paid like decent, but you know, Banner's rich. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know if he's rich in the universe. I can't tell. But Tony's rich, and he probably gives them money and shit. And Thor doesn't need fucking money. He's on Asgard. And Natasha, she works for Shield. They get paid really well. And then the rest of them, Hawkeye. I mean, you saw him. Hawkeye had a big ass house with all that fucking land.
Country.
Yeah, Fury set it up for him though, so that's a.
Yeah. Fury set it up, so that might have been off the book shit. So who knows? But I'm sure they're getting paid well though. Decent. But you know, is it worth like what the fuck they do when they could die every day? Probably not. So that's going to be it for us. Our next episode on Road to Infinity War is Civil War, which I think we all love.
Yeah.
So that is
honestly, I have never seen it.
Oh my God. So yes, we're doing Civil War early because Devin and I are going to WrestleMania this weekend.
Wrestling.
So Civil War will be out later this week. You're getting double dip this week. So look out for that. I'm about to watch Black Lightning and then Legion. We will be recording Legion. We did a Legion season 1 recap. The audio was fucked up. I don't know what happened to it. It was fucked up on all of us. I don't know. It happens sometimes with podcasts. So sorry you guys won't get that, but we will be reviewing all the episodes this season of Legion. That comes back tonight as well. But thank you guys for listening. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you get a podcast. Leave us a 5-star review and share it with your friends. Like our Facebook page as well. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you later.